Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to you based upon when you're viewing this video. My name is John Moore, brand manager for global public sector here at Salesforce. And today it is my pleasure to be able to sit alongside our two guests for a fireside chat that we're calling Agenda 2021, Delivering Outcomes, Building Trust. And with me are Kathy Conrad, Director of Digital Government Services at Accenture Federal Services, and Casey Coleman, Senior Vice President of Global Digital Transformation at Salesforce. And both of these ladies are phenomenal, well thought leaders. They have a breadth and depth of experience that I know that we're all going to benefit from. So the anchor for today's conversation is a paper that was published this summer by ACT-IAC, a neutral body that represents the perspectives of both industry and government leaders. And those leaders are working together toward one common goal. And that common goal is to improve the effectiveness of government. The paper is also entitled Delivering Outcomes, Building Trust. And the purpose of the paper is to provide nonpartisan guidance and recommendations to government leaders and policymakers. So we don't have all the time in the world to unpack all of the issues and topics that we could talk about, but we are going to hit some key topics of exploration. And we're also going to highlight many of the recommendations that are outlined in the paper. So lean in here because these insights will be both compelling as well as actionable. So let's start the conversation first, focusing on those that government is called to serve. Let's take the people first approach. It's clear that the mandate to elevate customer experience is still what drives a lot of the technology investments that we see being made today across government, especially over the past few months here in the middle of this ongoing pandemic. And really what we've seen is an acceleration of government work that's been going on for years now, right? Government shift to digital services is nothing new, but this pandemic has elevated the importance of that shift, something that we have now termed the digital imperative, a term that you all may be familiar with. And it has really put in place some changes that are sure to persist for years to come. So Kathy, I want to start with you. I would love to hear your perspective on what we have learned up to this point and what the implications of some of the lessons are.
Sure. Thanks, John. And thanks for having me. So you're right. I mean, this shift to digital services gained new urgency as COVID forced agencies to curtail in-person service and shuttered field offices, and it propelled forward some quick development and adoption of new digital solutions and scaling up of some that are already in place. One of the things that I think was most interesting is that longstanding concerns about security and privacy and just old-fashioned resistance to change that have slowed the shift to digital services were quickly overcome by necessity as agencies needed to find new ways to deliver services remotely. So some new policies and programs were quickly put in place, allowing agencies like USDA and IRS to accept digital signatures and electronic files so their customers, like farmers, ranchers, taxpayers, could continue to obtain the services and information they need online. And I think that quick shift and some of those changes need to be made permanent. I don't think people are going to want to go back to getting in their car and driving to sign a document or submit files long into the future.
I think you make a really fantastic point in that you highlighted the fact that the urgency of the circumstances that we faced have really helped government leaders to overcome a lot of concerns that were in place in the past about security. And that really takes me in my mind to data sharing. And so, Casey, if you could weigh in here, I'd love to hear from you about your thoughts on the importance of data, the role that data plays in this conversation, and how agencies can leverage data to help uncover some of those customer needs that have been brought to the fore, either in this pandemic or even some of the work that's led up to this.
Yeah, thank you, John. Data is at the heart of effective government service delivery and good customer experience. And delivering on the mandate of government service. If you think about the pandemic, look at the need for data-driven approaches to managing the delivery of personal protective gear, understanding where the hotspots are in the outbreak so we can do effective contact tracing. And then data is also essential for that individual constituent or citizen experience. If you think about the companies that we love to do business with, we have trusted them with some of our data, and the same is necessarily true for government services. And that it's important to have that trust relationship. And research shows that for every 1 point improvement in customer experience, it delivers an almost 3 points of improvement in the trust and the willingness of the public to engage with those services and programs. So data is essential, and it's also vital to protect it, safeguard it, and manage it in a judicious manner.
You know, and Casey, speaking of data, I think another aspect of data that's particularly critical is using data to really understand our customers rather than relying on assumptions. So often, government services are designed based on what we think people want and need, based on our own experience, or based on surveys that were conducted months previously. In this current day and age, we need to understand kind of rapidly changing needs and be able to pivot accordingly so that we can invest resources and make improvements in existing services based on what's really important to customers. So, for example, farmers.gov has been prioritizing features and functions based on customer priorities. And so from going out and gathering lots of feedback from farmers, ranchers, and producers, USDA found that one of the most important things to farmers was just being able to check their loan status. So before investing in far more complex transactional services, they made it possible to just check online and see your loan status so that people don't have to make a phone call or go into an office. That's a great example of being able to invest in priorities that matter most to a customer that may not be apparent from a distance.
Yeah, and just one more thought on data. You know, it's not just about the technology, it's also a cultural and an operational shift. Yeah. And in the paper, we've made a recommendation that a data-driven approach is really the foundation for improving government service delivery.
Fantastic highlights there. Love the example about the groundbreaking work done by the USDA and the way that they've leveraged data to help to uncover some of those customer needs that, as you stated, Kathy, may not have been as apparent to the agency had they not had the data there to substantiate that. Well, I know that we could continue to go on. We could probably talk all day, but we don't have time for that in the time allotted to us. But again, want to thank both of you for your time, for your insight, and for sharing so freely with our viewers. For those of you who are interested in downloading the entire white paper, we would love for you to have a copy. So if you're accessing this from any social channels, you should see a link somewhere above this post that will take you to a page where you can download that full paper. Please keep an eye out for additional papers that are forthcoming. Thank you all once more for your time. Be well.